Good morning and a very warm welcome to our today's interviewee, our guest, Dr. N Rajeevan. He's a renowned scientist and a meteorologist, and he's also the former Secretary of Ministry of Earth Sciences. And he has played an exceptional role in scientific advancement of our meteorological department. And on the occasion of this World Meteorological Day, we welcome him. Good morning, sir.
Thank you.
Uh, So when it comes to meteorology and about the role of Indian Meteorological Department and everything, weather forecasting is, we all know, the primary role of Indian Meteorological Department. But IMD is not just about weather forecasting; it has many other roles. Could you please throw some light about the specializations under the Met Department of India, which common people doesn't know but are very vital?
Yeah, see, India Meteorological Department basically organization. It was formed in 1975. It's very old scientific institution, and primary responsibility is to provide forecast and warnings for weather, and also climate. Climate is they do weather forecast and weather services. They say they also do the climate services, which is not well known. And that has started very recently, maybe last 15 to 20 years. And it's all started from IMD Pune office. And so the climate service is basically what we mean is issuing long-term climate forecast, long-term climate diagnostic, doing diagnostics of climate anomalies, development of climate data products, and climate change scenarios, etc. So climate change scenarios, basically IMD doesn't involve much, and that is being normally it is done by IITM, Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, Pune. But IMD also does some kind of awareness program regarding climate change and future climate change, etc. And IMD also does a lot of work on climate change. For example, what we have seen how we have seen the climate change changing using the observed data, and also some work related to future climate change. And also they develop a lot of climate data products. It's very useful products. For example, 1 degree and 0.25 degree graded daily rainfall data sets, temperature data sets, like many atlases, climatological atlases. So they provide climate services which is not well known. And also the third is well known is not well known is the hydrometeorology. They provide services for water. In the sense of issuing quantitative precipitation forecast for flood warning to Central Water Commission. And also they do the river design. For some dam is design, and IMD helps them to design the dams, etc. So they do a lot of services related to water, not purely on kind of full-fledged activity, because water in India, it is handled by many people. IMD is one of them. Or some there's a Central Water Commission, there's a Ministry of Water Resources. So they also do a lot of work. But IMD also does a lot of work, especially on flood warning. So these are the climate services, also the services to hydrometeorology are the two services IMD does in addition to the weather services.
Yes, sir. So like global warming, which is a very current issue, like it has been since industrialization, but now the climate change, everyone is getting more aware about climate change, and global warming is a main contributor to it. So global warming has led to more intense rainfall and less rainfall days in India. And since India is an agricultural-based economy, and 55% of our agriculture is rain-fed, as we say, what impact does this climate change have on our agricultural produce and also on our economy?
See, you correctly said that the observed climate change, if you really see the observed rainfall pattern for last 40-50 years, if you see that the extreme rainfall events are increasing. Not everywhere, but mainly over central India, most parts of central India. And also, as you said, that the number of rainy days are decreasing. And the other aspect which we need to really worry about is any place you have a spell of active rain, a lot of rains, we call active period. followed by a dry period, then again active period. So this is it doesn't rain all 122 days in monsoon season in any place. It rains only few days. So what happens now is when a dry spell happens, it prolongs for a longer time. And okay, so the dry days, the length of the dry days is increasing. That also is not really good because the farmers may be requiring some more water for a maybe little later stage of the crop. And so this kind of three important things. One is the total quantum seasonal rainfall may remain same, but the way the rain is distributed in the season is different. It is changing. It rains in heavily. It rains when it rains within a fewer days, and when it rains heavily. That's some basic meaning. And so we need to really do agriculture practices. We have to adapt to these changes, farmers. But I am afraid many farmers may not know this detail. They think that still we'll get rain whenever we want. So a kind of awareness program, like for some your organization like yours, your organization can do kind of awareness program and teaching the farmers, saying that these are the changes, and these changes are not uniform throughout India. It may change from region to region. So we have data for this kind of changes, where it is occurring, what kind of changes. So we need to tell those farmers. For example, a farmer in Maharashtra, we cannot tell a story what changes are occurring in Bihar. We have to tell the story occurring in Maharashtra only. So we have data, but fortunately we have plenty of data. We have good observations. So we can tell the farmers, saying that these are the changes occurring. And then when you do these farming operations, so you have to take care of these issues. When it rains heavily. So most of the water will go on a kind of flow. Just it will run off. So we need to conserve some waters. That's why old days, people do a lot of wells, small ponds, small lakes. These are all water bodies, so-called water bodies. Water bodies are required to store water and can be used later when you really want for farming. So that this kind of small changes in our day-to-day practices we should do, and we should be teaching the farmers accordingly. Otherwise, it can seriously affect their farming operations.
So will this change pattern continue? Will we is it predicted that in future?
Yes. Yeah, it's not only observed; it is going to be consistent in future climate change scenario also. In future, if you take at least next 30-40 years, this change is going to happen. So, for example, heavy rains and dry spells are very long and dry spells, and number of rainy days are decreasing. So we need to adapt to this. There's no other way. And probably we need to adapt to, for example, the crops which are suitable for this kind of variation, and may not be the crop which is already being done there. So we need to really take a policy decision. What kind of crops are required for this kind of changes? So we need, actually only farmers. You should not leave it to only farmers. We need to guide from top, in the sense that government should tell them, and concerned agriculture scientists should be involved. They should frame up some kind of a policy decision and inform farmers accordingly.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And so, India is a vast country in terms of area, and we have several kinds of landforms. So, what challenges do the Met Department face, since you have been a part of all of this since a very long time? And when it comes to maintaining the accuracy level, what challenges do we face as a vast country?
Can you repeat? I could not hear properly. Can you repeat that question?
Yes, sir. Sir, ours is a vast country in terms of area, and we have several types of landforms. So, what challenges do our Met Department face when it comes to maintaining that accuracy level of predicting, and in all the areas, in all the terrains, mountains, and the kind of devices, and what are the challenges to monitor this large country?
Yeah, this is a good question. Actually, India is a very vast country, and the weather patterns and the difficulty involved in prediction is completely different from place to place. We have plain areas, we have valleys, we have mountains, and especially Northeast is full of mountains, and West Coast is full of mountains. So we have different challenges. IMD has different challenges. But fortunately, we are, with a lot of efforts which we made for last 8-10 years, and our forecasting accuracy has improved. I'm talking about weather forecast, which is 4 to 5 days or 5 to 7 days forecast. And those forecasts are improved a lot, substantially. And in terms of, see, the rainfall forecast can be whether it will rain or not. That's a yes or no question. So that forecasts are pretty good. So IMD will be able to tell you properly whether it will rain tomorrow, okay, or whether it will rain after 2 days. And that kind of forecasts are pretty good. What is difficult is the quantity of rainfall. IMD may say that it will rain 15 millimeters, but it may rain more, it may rain less. The quantitative value, the prediction is little difficult. Still, IMD does a reasonable job. For example, heavy rainfalls. Heavy rainfall, for example, if it is going to occur someplace in 3-4 days before, IMD is able to tell you exactly. The number may not match. They may tell heavy rain is possible, but it may rain 70 millimeters, 7 centimeters, or it can be 8 centimeters. The quantity may change. It's very difficult to exactly get the number from the model, from the prediction model. But they'll be able to tell you a kind of a warning. They can give you that in such places, and after about 1 week or so, there's a possibility of heavy rains, and that's good enough. Good enough. If it then it may be very close to the particular event, won't be 24 hours before. Probably they may be able to tell you whether it will be 7 centimeter, 8 centimeter. With a little more accuracy, they can tell. In general, IMD's weather forecasts are improved, but the improvement may not be uniform throughout the country. In some places, still we have problems. Where the data is not really good, where the challenges, where the dynamics of the weather is different. For some, especially the so-called cloud bursts and heavy rains in the western northwest Himalayas, for some Uttarakhand, it's a very challenging job, and IMD still is not able to do extremely well. So they have still difficulties. So such difficult areas, gray areas are still there. For example, IMD is too good for tropical cyclone forecast. They can tell you now 5 to 7 days exactly, almost very accurately, where it will fall, when it will fall, etc., and what could be the intensity, etc. So over the land, they can tell you whether it will rain or not, and to some extent to heavy rainfall events almost 4 to 5 days before. So a lot of improvements, and temperature and all prediction is much better. I'm talking only rainfall, temperature, humidity. Such predictions are pretty good, and only rainfall, heavy rainfall amount is pretty difficult. And flash floods, for example, it rains in a particular 1 hour, it rains very heavily and leads to flash floods. Such kind of predictions, at least in 24 hours, 48 hours before, it's not possible. So they can do it using a method called nowcasting. It's basically using radars, and they can, once radar catches the signal, they will be able to tell you how much it can rain, where it can rain, exactly. At least some 2-3 hours before they can tell.
So you talked about cyclone, and we have seen that we have reduced loss of life in cyclone-prone regions of our country within these years. Earlier, many vast cyclones have hit India, and a loss of lives and infrastructure was on huge level. But with years, we have significantly reduced the number, and especially the loss of lives. And is it due to the technological advancement more, or our action team plan, or a mix of both?
See, there are many reasons. One is, of course, our technology has improved. Our the method of prediction, the prediction methodology has changed a lot. We have now far better prediction models, which we use it for tropical cyclone prediction. It has improved a lot. Improved a lot means it's not a very simple way we can tell. It's a lot of efforts have been made to improve those models. For example, more observations, better data simulation methods, and better physics in the models, etc. So a lot of efforts have been made by scientists throughout the world, and ultimately the weather prediction models have improved substantially. So that we have to acknowledge. In addition to that, the warnings IMD can give, finally the saving people is not with the IMD. The job is not with the IMD. The job is with the state government, state disaster management people, national disaster management authority, etc. So those people also have graduated, and they also have done a lot of improvement in their strategy and methodology. They follow it for disaster management, especially for tropical cyclone. So when cyclone warnings are given, they know what are they have very standard, very thought standard operating procedures, SOPs. So they know what to do, where to do, how to do, etc. So they immediately spring into action and they take appropriate action so that the people are safe. So that's a very successful story, tropical cyclone. We want that successful story goes in everywhere, in even other events like a heat wave. Heat waves also is to some extent, it is a very successful story. Heat waves we are able to tell people about almost 4 to 5 days before, and many state governments have state heat action plans, so they also know how to do it with a heat wave warning. So like that, we should, for some heavy rainfall, we don't have that kind of a strategy. So IMD has been working on that. IMD also should have a tropical cyclone. They give different stages, forecast in different stages. Heavy rainfall also should be treated as something similar, and they should form a kind of strategy, and they should work closely with the state governments to save people from, especially from flash floods and urban floods. These are the two important things which we know. The riverine basin, where the river bed gets floods, that is not so difficult. We are able to predict well, because it's a slow process. It occurs in 2-3 days, whereas flash floods, urban floods, can come in few hours. So such kind of challenges are there with the IMD. So they should have a better strategy now to improve the flash floods as well as urban floods.
So talking about heat waves, have we experienced these types of heat waves in the past only, or these intense heat waves, especially in the northern India, are a phenomena we are observing in these years? And how are we working? Is a special kind of technological advancement required to predict these heat waves, or is IMD working on any plan to be prepared for predicting these heat waves in the future?
Yeah, heat waves are normally known during this pre-monsoon season, March, April, May, June, and and we know very well heat wave, how it occur, where it occur, what are the physical mechanisms, etc. And IMD's prediction models, if you really assess the skill, the models are pretty good in giving kind of forecast for heat wave almost 4 to 5 days, sometimes even 1 week before. And so we have better strategy. IMD has a better strategy issuing warnings for heat waves. There's no doubt. We have improved a lot, and also we can tell now in almost 4 to 5 days advance where it can occur, and to some extent how long duration will be, and also what could be the intensity, and such kind of forecast can be prepared with very high accuracy. Still 1 or 2 forecasts can go wrong here and there, but mostly we are able to give good forecast for heat waves. Once heat wave warnings are given, the state government has to take action, and it has impact on not only on human health, it has impact on agriculture crops, it has impact on energy, because there can be power outage. And what we experienced last year in 2022 March, April, we had severe heat waves over northwest India, and that has caused a lot of damages to wheat crops, as well as it has caused a lot of problems for power network, and there was a shortage of power, etc. So we need to be, and also it can affect the cattle. So not only human beings are affected, cattle are also affected, fish is affected, and then the river basins, etc. So we need to be a little more careful in making a better strategy in handling heat waves. But we are extremely doing well, and there is a scope for further improvement, which we should.
Okay, sir. And these natural disasters, see, we have a lot of lives and infrastructure loss when country suffers with natural disasters. So we have seen a significant decrease in loss of lives during, especially due to the early warning systems of our meteorological department. But although in infrastructure, it is an immovable property. So is there a possibility to reduce infrastructure loss in the future by any means? Because lives...
That's a very difficult question to answer. I agree that the loss of people have the life, for example, the death counts have decreased a lot. And not only in India, worldwide it is a phenomena. So especially because the early warning systems are much improved now and it's reliable. But the infrastructure, the loss in properties and infrastructure and all is very difficult because for some tropical cyclone, most of the good big cities are along the coast, and we cannot do anything. Only thing is when we make buildings, we should make buildings such that it can withstand a very severe tropical cyclone, and so our infrastructure development should take care of such issues. For example, where heavy rainfall is more prominent, more frequent. So our infrastructure, our buildings, etc., should be able to. So we need to adapt to it. So that's the best way of doing it. And for example, in Bombay, Chennai tropical cyclone comes, it can damage buildings, but we cannot remove the buildings and run away. So we can remove the people, but we cannot remove the buildings and big buildings. So the buildings we can make such that it can withstand a tropical cyclone. And for example, a good example is Japan. So they are very earthquake-prone country. Very frequently it happens. It almost happens every day. But those buildings they design such that they can withstand a moderate to severe earthquake. So such kind of adaptation is important. So when we develop a city or when we make a kind of a development, we don't worry about this kind of small issues. We may think it's a small issue, but we can save a lot of money by investing a little more in the beginning of developing a city or developing an urban area. So adaptation is the best way of doing it. Otherwise, we cannot save these buildings when a cyclone comes or a disaster comes. For example, Delhi, Himalayas is very prone for earthquake. So when we make a building there, when we make a dam there, for example, it should be earthquake prone. It should withstand even earthquake of 8.0. So that kind of thing we can do it, isn't it? So we need to design such kind of infrastructure. So only thing is we have, thanks to the IMD, we have plenty of good data available where what will happen. So with that data, we should be able to do this such kind of adaptation policies.
So this World Meteorological Day, we have the theme, the future of weather, climate and water across generations. So as a society, what role do we have to play, or what changes can we get into our lives? Like every single person, if they come together and bring these changes, can we improve or control the weather and climate, like the impacts which anthropogenic activities are causing on weather and climate? Because we know that we can reduce pollution, we can do these things, but can our small actions have a larger impact and control the weather and this climate change?
Well, our institution like IMD will have more difficulties in terms of issuing forecast and all, mainly because of climate change. With the global warming and climate change, what will happen? The difficulty in predicting weather will be a little more difficult, and so that is mainly because of there are many issues that are related to global warming or climate change, which can affect the accuracy of the prediction. We'll have more challenges. For example, you'll get more kind of frequent heavy downpours, which otherwise is not seen. So, and IMD models are not that good at predicting very sudden outbreak of kind of heavy rains, etc. So such challenges will increase further. That's I'm very sure. So IMD's forecasting strategy should adapt to this kind of future changes and improve the forecasting models. And it is happening everywhere. The World Meteorological Organization (WMO) is recognized this kind of changes which are going to come, and they are advising all countries to make such changes in their respective countries for meeting this kind of challenges. And so we also, so my point is that this kind of activities can be done by individuals or individual organizations, small organizations, NGOs. They all should involve. So awareness also is very important. That should not be left alone with IMD. IMD has to do it, but in addition, many organizations, private organizations, NGOs should also do awareness program about what is going to happen in future, etc. And we cannot stop. Climate change is going to this kind of change is going to happen and continue for many more years. Of course, negotiations and all going with countries, all developed and developing countries, that how much we should cut down fossil fuel, etc. But then there is a long discussion. But next 30, 40 years, assume that this is going to continue. If something happens after 2050, we should be happy. But before till then, and we'll have plenty of problems and plenty of issues. And modification, if you talk about weather modification, it's a research area. Not much very successful stories are available. China claims that they can do anything, but I'm not sure. But for example, a small increase in rainfall process can happen by doing a cloud seeding, for example, especially in areas like Maharashtra, and which IIT Pune has done recently for 2 years experiment they've done, and they found that small improvement can be done. But that's only one part of the story. But we should not expect too much benefits from weather modification, and it's a really controversial topic.
So for this World Meteorological Day, we actually ran a survey, and we were asking questions to people about do they rely on meteorological department's forecast, and we had positive responses much, and a lot of our audience was young audience from the age group of 18 to 25. And when we told them that we will have you as a chief guest, so they were really excited and they had a question for you. And it's they just wanted to know, how did you develop your interest in this field, and what's your inspiration, liking about the subject? Is it mainly physics, or just a little bit about your life journey, how you
No, if you want to, your question, I could not follow it properly. I think what you asked is what kind of education they should have for becoming a folk.
Yeah, sir. Actually, our audience, they wants to know, how did you get into this field, and and what are you liking? Is it your interest in something?
When I passed my MSc I did MSc in physics from Mother University. I did not have any. Frankly speaking, I did not have any kind of intention that I should join meteorology department. I wanted a job, especially in research. So I joined in an institute in Bombay called Tata Institute of Fundamental Research initially. There I was working with astronomy, infrared astronomy, looking at galaxies, stars and all. But I was not a full-time researcher. I was supporting the researchers there. I was a supporting staff. Then I wrote the exam through UPSC, then All India exam to us. Then I joined. IMD vacancy came. So that's a period I came to know what IMD, and because I am from a small village. IMD and all is not known to me. So at that time, our forecast, my childhood, our forecast are our grandparents. I will go and ask my grandma whether it will rain today. She will look at the sky and say it will rain. It will not rain. So we did not have that kind of access to IMD in villages and all. So I joined IMD as a part of my job. I wanted a job. It's a decent job. It's a class 1 post at the age of 23. So I liked it and accepted. But it was a good choice, really a good choice. And then I did PhD in atmospheric physics from Pune University, and I continued. I really enjoyed working in IMD, and for 23 years. And then I left to ISRO for a few years. Then I came back. And finally, I became secretary, and I could guide IMD for many good activities. So I am very happy that I could become a born meteorologist, and it was a choice. It was not really I wanted to become, but it was a choice which I fully utilized it, and I enjoyed it. And if somebody wants to become, it's really a challenging job. You will really like it, and you will really enjoy that job of being meteorologist. You may get a lot of criticism. When I was in IMD, people used to abuse us. And at that time, our good cartoonist R.K. Lishman used to be there. He will, every week, one cartoon will come against IMD. And we used to enjoy his cartoons. He is a very intelligent guy. He used to criticize, positive criticism. We used to like it. But IMD, I'll tell you, about 20 years back, it was pretty bad. I should agree. But not IMD now. IMD has grown up. It is now one of the best in the world. I should, with all proud, I am very proud to say that IMD is one of the best in the world now. And but still, there are a lot of things can be done by IMD, and I am very sure that they will do. and we should expect IMD's good forecast in coming years.
So your career has definitely been an inspiration for all of us, and I'm sure our viewers, they will be they are really excited to have these answers, and we thank you a lot to be a part of this.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Meteorological Day. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.